hallucinations, like in that Simpsons episode,
Man, this is crazy. I hope I didn't brain my damage.
euphoria, and even danger and death are some of the things people may think about when psychedelic drugs are mentioned. But it doesn't have to be like that at all. For the past few years, some groups in the medical industry have been pushing for more awareness and acceptance on how these drugs can be used to treat and cure mental illnesses. Joining us to explain is Tania de Jong, co-founder of Mind Medicine Australia. You seem like a wonderful, inspirational person who has committed their life to helping others through the joy of singing. Why have you turned your attention to pushing the case for psychedelic-assisted therapy, and how does it work?
Effectively, psychedelic-assisted therapies bypass what's called the default mode network of your brain, which keeps us stuck and defaulting to similar patterns and programs, often from early childhood. And we often have a lot of rigid and stuck thoughts, and especially for people who have mental illness, it may be, I'm not good enough, things aren't going to work out, no one loves me, and so on. And we get these repeating statements that just go round and round in our minds, which is what we call rumination. But they can become very negative. And what happens is, with the ingestion of, say, psilocybin, which is the psychoactive component of magic mushrooms, you actually bypass the default mode network of your brain and you create this massive neurogenesis, increased neural plasticity of the brain and a sense of connection and oneness. And for most people who are suffering with depression or other mental illnesses, there's a sense of disconnection, of separation, of isolation and loneliness, and to actually give people that sense of connection back, connection to self, to others, to the planet, and maybe their work and other things is a really extraordinary gift. I am the daughter and granddaughter of Holocaust survivors. So the reason that I originally started Mind Medicine Australia with my husband is that both of us were carrying trauma. His father had committed suicide when he was 13. And as I say, all of us have had traumas in our lives, and we're all carrying that with us, if not our own, our ancestors. I could never, for example, watch anything about the Holocaust at all. Like, if anything came on about it, I had to leave the room, even though I wasn't personally there. Medicinal grade psilocybin in medically controlled environments, patients feel so connected and at one that many of them describe the experience as one of the top 5 most meaningful experiences in their lives. And of course, whoever says that about a medicine, it's pretty extraordinary. With that, I guess that window of opportunity where the patient's brain is much more flexible, more plastic, that experienced therapists can work with the patient to help them to integrate the insights that they've experienced during the medicinal session and to then take those insights back into their life, their relationships, their work, so that they can make the necessary changes and move forwards with their lives. So effectively accepting whatever's happened in our lives, and all of us have had stuff happen in our lives. It's important, I think, to clear the slate. A lot of people describe, psilocybin-assisted therapy as defragging the hard drive or rebooting, the dodgy computer. It's like pressing the button and wiping the slate clean. It doesn't mean you've forgotten the past, but it means you can start to draw a different map for your future.
Now, what drugs are we talking about here? Is it things like MDMA and magic mushrooms?
So magic mushrooms themselves in clinical trials are not being given to patients. It's a synthesized form of psilocybin that is given to patients, but it's synthesized to replicate magic mushrooms. But I would say there is a difference. There's something called the entourage effect that you get with the full plant compound that you would get with a magic mushroom that you may not get in the synthesized formula. The synthesized formula is extremely good. And, 60 to 80% of patients in trials of psilocybin over the past few years have gone into complete remission from their depression, which is compared against 30 to 35% remission rates from existing treatments.
How far off is this from reaching Australia?
The 2 medicines which are in the most advanced stages, which are likely to be prescribable in many countries around the world soon, and which are already legal in some countries around the world, are psilocybin and MDMA. And psilocybin, we've talked a little bit about. MDMA-assisted therapy is the other therapy that is likely to become prescribable in the next 12 to 18 months. But both psilocybin and MDMA-assisted therapies are already available through special access pathways in Australia and other countries. Unfortunately, due to our federal system, there are barriers in a number of states which prevent doctors from treating these suicidal and very sick patients with these treatments, because the medicines aren't allowed to be brought into those states, because the state governments are not differentiating between recreational and medicinal use of those substances. So it's incredibly important that we have a nationally standardised system in Australia, and that we differentiate between recreational use of a substance and medicinal use of a substance. And that's why we're working very strongly with the TGA in Australia at the moment on the rescheduling of the medicines. And the only reason why these medicines were ever scheduled in that schedule was because President Nixon politicised them in 1970. And these medicines, of course, have been used since the beginning of human civilization for healing in Indigenous tribes and communities and societies around the world, and for raising of consciousness. And in the 50s and 60s, these medicines were used on over 50,000 patients in the US, in Australia and other places to heal them from a range of conditions in medically controlled environments. And many psychiatrists who are still alive today, including some in Australia, remember that time very fondly, because it was really the only time in their careers where they were getting a significant number of people well and out of the system and back to leading, meaningful, contributing, happy lives in their communities and families and so on. Sadly, these treatments, which only take 2 to 3 medicinal treatments in combination with a short course of psychotherapy, have been heavily stigmatised for a long time. And our goal at Mind Medicine Australia is to really focus on the science and the data around these treatments, and to educate and really create awareness in the community that there are actually treatments that can get people well, that can prevent significant amount of, suffering and suicide in our community, and that everyone deserves to have access to, no matter where they're based or their financial circumstances. MDMA-assisted therapy, it's primarily used to treat post-traumatic stress disorder and also addictions at the moment, but both of these medicines are being trialled for a whole range of conditions. So they're now being trialled for anorexia and eating disorders, dementia, Alzheimer's, obsessive compulsive disorder, a range of addictions, cluster headaches, strokes, Parkinson's. And we're talking here about pure GMP pharmaceutical grade MDMA. This is not to be confused with ecstasy, which is often available at dance parties and festivals, and which unfortunately is often the capsules that young people get at those parties contain a whole range of substances, often have no MDMA in them at all. When people are taking pure GMP pharmaceutical grade MDMA under the supervision of trained therapists in medically controlled environments, there's never been any adverse events, certainly no deaths, nothing of the sort. And what we're seeing is these incredible remission rates, because what happens under the influence of MDMA with a trained therapist is a patient with trauma is able to talk about their trauma safely without being re-triggered or re-traumatized, can then accept what has occurred and move on with their lives. Doesn't mean they forget, but it means that they can not have this constant fight or flight that is caused by the amygdala firing up every time that they're asked to talk about their trauma, or indeed when something reminds them of their trauma. And the more patients that start to ask for these treatments, the more the regulators will need to make them available. So I urge everyone to reach out who's interested and wants to learn more. Plus, our website has a wonderful Learn section, and you can read lots of articles. There's lots of videos on there. We also have over 30 chapters that we've set up around Australia so that people can join their local chapter and learn more about these medicines and treatments for themselves and their family members and their loved ones, and start to really get the knowledge into the community so that we can break down some of the prejudice and stigma that has been attached to these medicines for far too long. And so what actually happened was I originally came to these medicines, and bear in mind that my only drug has ever been singing. So I've never had any drug of any other kind in my life. If anything, I guess I would have called myself anti-drugs. I've never smoked. I don't drink alcohol, and I don't even drink coffee. I'm a fairly boring person, except for that, I used to definitely get my highs and still do from singing. And singing is wonderful because it also fires up the brain and releases, a whole range of oxytocin and other wonderful chemicals that make you feel good and help you to get through mental challenges as well. So singing is also a super wonder drug. And if people want to learn more about singing, they should watch my TED Talk, How Singing Together Changes the Brain.
Well, Tania, you've got so much going on. What is your mission in life?
Well, I've always said that my mission is to change the world one voice at a time. And that's really Creativity Australia's mission. But I think really my true mission is to help people to find their true voice and to help people unlock their full potential as human beings.
Well, Tania, thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you. And thank you for having me. And I look forward to further conversations together. And everyone who's out there, I haven't said the website for Mind Medicine Australia, but I'm sure we put it on the program, but it's mindmedicineaustralia.org. We're a charity and we need your support to get these medicines available to all who need them. Thank you.